first story was shared by a nurse named Amanda. She worked the overnight shift at a mid-sized hospital in Chicago. The third floor was the quietest, mostly elderly patients. Lights dimmed, hallways empty, just the sound of machines breathing for people. It was 2:47 a.m. Amanda was charting at the nurse's station when she heard it. Ding! A call button notification. Room 309. She frowned. Room 309's patient, Mr. Halpern, had passed away at 11:32 p.m. She had been there when it happened. She had closed his eyes herself. The room was empty. Housekeeping had already cleaned it. She stared at the monitor. Room 309. Call active. She assumed it was a wiring glitch. Old building, old systems. Still, protocol required her to check. The hallway felt colder as she approached. The door to 309 was slightly open. She pushed it. The room was dark. Empty bed, clean sheets. No machines connected. But the bathroom light was on. Amanda. The voice was weak, raspy, from inside the bathroom. Her blood went cold. She stepped closer. The bathroom was empty, but the mirror was fogged, and written across it were 3 words: "I'm still here." She ran to the nurse's station. Security reviewed the footage. At 2:46 a.m., the camera outside room 309 flickered, and for exactly 7 seconds, the silhouette of a man was standing inside the room, right beside the bed. No one else on the floor reported anything. The call system was checked the next morning. No malfunction, no error log. Room 309 remained empty for 3 months because no nurse wanted to assign a patient there again. Hospitals are full of death, and some people believe that when someone dies suddenly, they don't always leave immediately. But this next story is different, because in this one, something followed a nurse home. This story comes from Daniel, a hospital security guard in Texas. His job was simple: monitor cameras, walk empty floors, make sure no one unauthorized entered restricted areas. The ICU floor after 1 a.m. was nearly silent. Patients sedated, families gone, lights dimmed. At 3:12 a.m., Daniel noticed movement on camera 14. ICU West Hallway. A shadow moving slowly past the patient rooms. He zoomed in. It looked like a person. Tall, thin, head tilted unnaturally to one side, walking without sound. He radioed the nurse station. "No one's walking that hallway," they replied. Daniel checked the access logs. No doors had opened. He rewound the footage. The shadow didn't come from anywhere. It appeared halfway down the hallway, and it didn't cast a reflection on the polished floor. He decided to check it in person. Worst mistake of his career. The hallway was empty, but the air felt heavy, as if the oxygen had been pulled out. Halfway down the corridor, he heard something behind him. Footsteps. Slow. Dragging. He turned. Nothing. Then all the ICU monitors began beeping at once. Flatline alarms. Room after room. Nurses rushed in, but every patient was fine. Machines showed stable vitals, yet every monitor alarmed for exactly 12 seconds. Same time the shadow appeared on camera. Daniel quit 2 weeks later, but before he left, he reviewed the footage one last time. At 3:12 a.m., as the shadow passed camera 14, it stopped and turned its head directly toward the camera. The first 2 stories were terrifying, but this final one is the most disturbing. Because it wasn't a shadow, it wasn't a voice, it was a patient who knew they were going to die and told the nurse what would happen next. This story was shared anonymously. A nurse working night shift in a small rural hospital. Her patient was an elderly woman named Eleanor. Eleanor was calm, peaceful. She had terminal cancer. Doctors said she had weeks left, but on this particular night, Eleanor seemed different. At 1:15 a.m., she pressed her call button. The nurse entered. Eleanor smiled softly. "You won't see me tomorrow," she said. The nurse reassured her. "You're stable. Get some rest." Eleanor shook her head. "They're already here." "Who's here?" the nurse asked. Eleanor looked toward the corner of the room. "The ones who come before the end." The nurse felt uneasy. She adjusted Eleanor's blanket and left. At 3:03 a.m., Eleanor flatlined, peacefully. No struggle, just gone. The nurse cried. She had grown fond of her. The room was cleaned by morning. New patient admitted that afternoon. That night, at 1:15 a.m., the call light activated. Same room, same time. The nurse froze. She slowly entered. The new patient was asleep, but the rocking chair in the corner was moving. Gently, back and forth, back and forth. Then she heard Eleanor's voice, soft, grateful. "Thank you." The rocking chair stopped. The air felt lighter. The nurse never heard anything again from that room, but she believes Eleanor stayed long enough to say goodbye. Hospitals are places of healing, but they are also places of death. And sometimes, when the lights are dimmed, when the hallways are empty, when the clock hits 3 a.m., the line between the living and the dead becomes very thin. If you've ever worked a night shift in a hospital, have you experienced anything you couldn't explain? Leave your story in the comments. And if you want more true night shift horror stories, subscribe. Stay safe, especially after 3 a.m.